Hello, craft beer friends, and welcome to Season 10, Episode 20 of Tap to Craft Podcast. I am Denny Luce coming to you from Boise, Idaho, and my partner in craft, the dog whisperer, and my favorite Florida man from Tampa, Florida, Mr. Kris McKenzie. How are you doing tonight, Kris? And let us know what is in your glass.
Denny, I have had a wonderful day today.
Mm-hmm.
And in my glass, I've decided to keep it local, right?
Okay.
So, wearing the Tampa hat, got another Tampa brewery on the shirt, and I'm drinking some Tampa beer too. So,
Oh, very nice. Cloudy Donkey.
Cloudy Donkey from our friends over at Tampa Bay Brewing Company. Similar to what we've had, Denny, before with the Reef Donkey, but
yeah.
a little more hazy, a little more juicy. More juicy.
Okay. Is that a new one, or is that one they've had around for a while?
They've had this one for a couple of years, I believe,
Okay.
but it just got, I guess, released for spring. I know this can
I think it's technically a seasonal release.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they also do Space Donkey, Day Donkey, which is the I guess an
Like the
IPL.
summery
Yeah.
one.
Oh, yeah.
What else do they have? They've got Hazy Donkey.
They have lots of donkeys.
Lots of donkeys.
Yeah, lots of donkeys.
Okay, so they're not all based off of a fish, right? Because isn't that what the reef donkey is?
Well, the reef donkey's
Yes.
the fish, yeah.
The fish?
Yes.
Okay. These are just plays off of that fish.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's a different fish on the label. It's
Okay.
a robot looking thing. So.
Okay. Well, Kris, everyone's hearing another voice on the air tonight. Why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest?
Sure. Well, we've got Sean Nordquist on with us. He's with the Tampa Bay Brewers Alliance. And give you guys a little crash course about Sean. And Sean, bear with me. I stole this off of your LinkedIn page.
Oh, God.
So we'll see what happens. And then I threw it through an AI generator. So God only knows.
Well, good God. I always want to know what AI thinks of me.
Right. So here's what AI thinks of you. So Sean Nordquist serves as the executive director of the Tampa Bay Brewers Alliance, leading efforts to advocate for brewery partners, raise industry awareness, and foster collaboration among stakeholders since 2023. With a diverse background spanning construction, IT, education, and nonprofits, also chocolate. There was chocolate in there too.
Yes.
Sean brings a wealth of experience in navigating varied landscapes. His commitment to effective communication and relationship building underscores his ability to drive organizational success. Driven by a passion for innovation and collaboration, this is getting a little long.
Come on, man.
Sean is poised to contribute his expertise to forward-thinking teams, driving growth and realizing shared visions. So, guys, help us welcome Sean to the show.
Well, welcome, Sean.
Cheers.
Good to have you on here.
I hope. Yeah, the glass is here. I swear, there it is.
I hope we didn't give away too much of your background and what you're doing, because we want to save a little bit of that for the main topic of the show.
Yeah, a lot of that sounded like what do you call it? Executive gobbledygook.
I call it fluff. Yeah,
Fluff.
it's
Yes.
a
fluff.
lot of fluff in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll be able to see through the fluff as we interview you a little bit deeper later on in the show. But
Sure.
what is in your glass tonight?
So I am drinking the I drink it all the time. The free dive from Coppertail.
Oh, nice.
It's their IPA. It's one of my go-tos, along with Reef Donkey and probably Sunshine City from Green Bench. Those are beers that are sort of always in rotation in my fridge. It's nice and easy drinking. It's it's only, what is it, 5.5%, I think. Great hop profile. It's just a really nice beer, and I'm drinking it because I won't be at Craft Brewers Conference this year. This is the CBC glass from Nashville from last year. So
Oh, okay. So were all those beers you just mentioned, were they all IPAs, or do you enjoy
they range from IPA to APA. Those are
American
I mean those and then like I'm a hop head, but I'm also, I love nice cream crispy lagers. Those are some of my others. And then I mean, really, I like most beers, but my other path that I've been down, especially recently, it's a lot of the traditional beers like ESBs and English milds and porters and brown ales.
Nice.
especially if you can find them on cask somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Those are some of my best feel good beers that I absolutely love.
Well, nice. Yeah, yeah. I'm a sucker for a good brown ale and a
Hmm.
good English mild as well. Beer styles you don't see a lot in craft breweries in America, but they are making a comeback, and we are seeing
Yes.
more and more of those styles in our craft breweries. So I'm really happy. I also I was a hophead. I am a hophead, but I was a serious hophead for about 10 years back in the beginning of 2000, 1999 to 2000. I
Hmm.
discovered, IPA that wasn't English IPA. It was American West Coast
Sure.
IPA. And I fell in love with it. And that's all I drank for like 10 years. And then I woke up from my hop haze, and I revisited lagers and brown ales and porters
Yeah.
and barley wines and things that I just really appreciated. And now I just drink everything. But yeah, I'm really happy that the brown ale is coming back, and the some of the English, lighter ales are coming back as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, good. Well, what am I drinking? What am I
Denny,
drinking?
what's in your glass tonight?
I'm also drinking something local, not from Tampa, but from Idaho. It's not local to Boise, although I do have a couple beers from Boise in my cooler. But right now, I'm drinking this beautiful can, Moose Creek
Ooh,
Hazy IPA from Grand Teton Brewing.
that's
And
a
this is,
gorgeous label.
yeah, I love the
That's
label.
really nice.
They have some good. They rebranded a few years back, and then on these special release beers, they do some really nice foil artwork on there with a lot of it's fish themed, and they have a whole series. They have a park series and a different waterway series they
Oh,
do. And
very
this is
cool.
the Moose Creek. So got a 6-pack of this. Really enjoying this hazy IPA. You can kind of see it in
Hmm.
my beak up here. It's got a nice haze, just orange Julius like coloring, but tastes really bright citrus and almost like some candy notes of like candied oranges in there as well.
Ooh,
Really, really a tasty beer. So I'll be enjoying that while we chat.
yeah.
And but before we get too far into the show, we always want to let all of our new listeners, anyone new listening to this show tonight, know what we're all about. Tap to Craft Podcast is an educational podcast focused around celebrating all things craft beer because we want to assist you, our listener, along in your craft beer journey and adventures. And you are listening to episode 254, and we're recording on Monday, April 15th, 2024. We are live on Facebook, and if you would like to join us during our recording session sometime, you can do that on the Monday prior to release at 8:30 Eastern Time. And in this episode, as we already kind of mentioned, we're going to learn about the Tampa Bay Brewers Alliance, as with Sean Nordquist, the executive director, and find out what his role is and what they do for the Tampa and Florida scene, as well as some great beer conversation along the way. And before we get too far in, Kris and I would like to thank all of our Patreon supporters because this episode is brought to you in part by our satisfied Patreon supporters like Mike Allen, Bill Slemmer, Amanda and Kevin Argauer, Mike Blanchard, Tara Carlson, Jim Kudslow, and Alex Fuchs, who are our virtual producers, and Tom Byrne, Jeff Seiler, Johan Halberg, Shalom Moss, and Mark Church, and Eric Gronley, who want to buy us a virtual beer. If you enjoy the content we provide, we invite you to support the show by toasting your host or buying us a virtual beer or even becoming a virtual producer. You can explore the options on our support page by visiting patreon.com/tapthecraft. Okay, so Sean, as we mentioned, we like to learn about people's craft beer journeys. And so let's learn about your craft beer journey and how you got started in craft beer. So how did you discover craft beer? What's your origin
So
story?
I am of a certain age, so I've been at this for a while. My I would say my journey really goes back to I was living in Northern California, Sonoma County,
Mm-hmm.
in the early '90s, and um, my first sort of exposure to something besides the stuff that is served at college parties
Mm-hmm.
was I discovered Guinness,
Oh,
Guinness on
really?
draft, um, and it changed everything. I was like, wait a minute, this is something new and this is exciting. It was, it had flavor and it had body. And so I went down the rabbit hole of chasing down stouts and porters all over the place. Fortunately, I was in a place where those were available. So I discovered Anchor Porter, and I discovered Mendocino, Mendocino County Brewing, and
Yeah, I love them.
Black Hawk Stout, and all and Rogue. And so, in the early '90s, a lot of those were only available in like 22-ounce bombers.
Yep.
And I was just anyone I could find. And then I was like, oh, well, these breweries are making other stuff too. Let me try those. And it just from there, I was hooked. And I even dabbled a little bit for the first time with some home brewing. And it was passable. We did drink it all. But then when I moved to Florida in '94, so I've been in Florida now for 30 years. In 1994, there was not a lot of great beer to be found around here. A lot of it had to do with some really archaic bottling size laws. So you couldn't have 22-ounce bombers here. You couldn't have any of the European size stuff, with few exceptions. There weren't very many bars that carried things besides some of the big names on draft. So there was only a handful of places where you could get anything besides your Bud Miller Coors kind of. So I subsisted on Guinness and Bass for a number of years, and then discovered a couple of bottle shops that had, and that's really when I started to discover my love of Belgian beers. I discovered Delirium, Delirium Tremens, and then Nocturnum, and then anything that Delirium puts out, I'm a huge fan. I had friends who introduced me to Saint Bernardus and Franziskaner, like all the German beers and all the Austrian beers and all the Belgian beers. And still, it wasn't until the early 2000s that we started to. There was a handful of breweries here. We had Tampa Brewing Company, we had Denny Brewery, and that was really it as far as locally. There were a couple others around the state, but really then we started to get in. The bottles, bottle size law changed, and we were able to get some more stuff coming in. More places opened up, serving some better beer, and then Saint Somewhere showed up, and was the first real open fermentation and saison and farmhouse kind of beers being brewed in Florida. Bob Sylvester, is a wizard. And then Cigar City. And I was right at that same time, I decided to start writing a blog, a beer blog, back when that was a thing. And I was one of the first in Florida to be doing it. And what
was that beer blog?
It was Beer for the Daddy.
Beer for the Daddy, okay.
Yeah, which is still it's still my my nickname and my handle, and a lot of like my Instagram handle. People still know me as Beer for the Daddy.
Okay.
And as a side note on that, the name comes from when I'd been writing. I'd been wanting to write, and I've been writing sort of on my own, but I didn't have a blog yet. My youngest son was about 3, and we were watching March of the Penguins, and there's the scene where the mother penguins go off on their long march, and they're on their way back, and Morgan Freeman says, and so the mothers make the long journey back, the 400 miles, to bring home food for their babies. And without missing a beat, my 3-year-old says, and beer for the daddy.
That's awesome.
And my wife and I were like, all right, well, that's it. Write that down, because I'm going to be using that. So that became the name of my blog, and sort of that became my beer persona for a number of years.
Nice.
Anyway, so I started writing my own blog, and then the more I wrote, the more I got asked to write. I wrote for a local publication here called Creative Loafing. which is a weekly newspaper here. I was asked to write for All About Beer magazine, Beer Advocate. So the more I got, the more I did, the more I got asked to do. And then was brought into the group that founded Tampa Bay Beer Week in 2012. And so I was part of that original group, and then on that first board of directors. So during all this time, I have paying jobs, not in the beer world. So like was mentioned, education, IT, those science, all that kind of stuff. Yes, I did a stint in the chocolate world as a corporate sales person. I've done a lot of sales work, and it was not a hard. I mean, I did it for about a summer working for Godiva, actually. And I was working out of their retail store, but almost my entire job was selling to corporations around Tampa. They would buy, especially Christmas and then also stuff for clients, and so they would be spending thousands of dollars on boxes and boxes of chocolates. So it was my job to make that happen. So, anyway, the more I was involved, the more I got asked to be involved, and so with the with Beer Week starting up, it became a really, it really took off. Tampa Bay Beer Week took off from a handful of events, and really just helping promote it to hundreds of events during the week, and managing that, and then putting on events and festivals during the rest of the year. And so I did that for about 5 years. And then just so happened that, my term, at that point I was chair of that board, and my term, I turned out. And shortly after that, the position with the Florida Brewers Guild came open, and they reached out because at that point I knew everybody, and had watched the number of breweries in Florida grow from 50 or 60 to 200. And so I, especially in the Tampa Bay area, I knew everyone, and in the state I knew a lot of people, so it was a natural fit. So I served as the executive director for the Florida Brewers Guild until last year, and now I am with the Tampa Bay Brewers Alliance, doing in some ways a lot of the same types of things, but focused much more regionally, and without any of the political type stuff.
Yeah. Okay, we'll stop there because we don't want to. I want to drill you on the Tampa Bay Brewers Alliance a little bit later, but that's a good summary of a pretty good beer journey and good experience that you've got behind your back. So that's good to get that background, and I love the fact that you started in Sonoma area and then came all the way over, the opposite side of the country to hang out for 30 years in Florida.
Right.
It's definitely a different scene between those two spots.
Oh, for sure.
All right, Kris.
Well, then, Denny, do you want me to skip to yours then?
Yeah, because you can. So you mentioned that your first, like, how you got into craft beer was with Guinness, but that's not traditionally a craft beer.
True.
So when you were searching around, sorry, I'm going to take your question, Kris.
Go ahead.
When you were searching around for different things that were dark and everything, is there a gateway beer that you found that was kind of like, this is, now I really like craft, instead of just going with the England, Ireland, German route, Belgian route maybe as well, but was there American craft beer that was like a gateway into just getting into the craft beer scene in the States?
Oh, for sure. I would say Anchor Brewing was probably, it was so readily accessible, and I went and bought every Anchor beer I could find. The Liberty Ale, their their stout, their porter, I mean, anything that they put out. Then I think, are they the ones that do is it Foghorn or
Yeah, they have Foghorn.
is it Fog? Because they're barley wine.
Yeah, that's
and
Foghorn.
that was my first barley wine. That and then Bigfoot. And that was another.
Those are two different. Those are two different barley wines too.
Yes, they are, and I loved them, and I loved them both. And then of course, the Anchor, holiday beer.
Oh yeah, I love
Anchor
that beer.
Christmas beers.
Yeah.
And I think Anchor was one that and I still to this day, anything that they've ever done, I've always loved. Rogue was another one that I loved. I think at the time there were they had 6 beers at least that were available, in Sonoma. They were all 22-ounce bombers. They were all hand-painted bottles. I mean,
I have them right here.
Yes, exactly. There they are, right there. Now this is before the Pink Nightmare and
yeah.
but it was my first rock beer was the I don't remember the name of it, but it was but one of Rogue's, it was smoky, and it was like unlike anything I'd ever had before. They're the one that had pine, it tasted like pine needles. And I think those were the beers that were pushing my understanding of what beer is and could be. I think where Guinness was like, oh, here's flavor and body.
Yeah, here's something different than a light.
All the other ones were like, well, here's now you've opened the door. Here's the creativity. Here's the here's all the really interesting stuff that that people are doing. And it really began. That really began my journey. It was sort of anytime I would see a beer I hadn't had before, like, okay, I've got to try that. And of course, they're not always good. Dave's Cave Creek chili beer is, I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah, I stay away from chili beers, but I think I might have one of his with that bottle here as well.
Well, I think, and I bought a 6-pack of it because I knew that I was going to at least need to keep one to display. They were clear bottles, and all of them had a chili pepper in the bottle, a full size, and I opened one and split it between a couple of my friends, and I drank maybe an ounce or 2 of it. I was like, I can't, Oof. And was burping up chili peppers for like the next 3 days. It was so vile. But that was again one of those things where I went, here's somebody trying something and experimenting with something different. Fast forward to now, and anything and everything is fair game apparently to put in.
Right? It's crazy. It's crazy what people are putting in beers.
Yeah, but to your original question, I would say the ones that really craft was Anchor. Anchor and Rogue were probably my two. My two really starting off points.
Yeah. So that you left that area before Lagunitas started up.
Yes,
but you did have Sierra Nevada in the area. Did you not partake with? They were pretty much. I have friends that grew up there, and the back in that time they were known as the shitty beer. Because it wasn't like what they were used to drinking, right? They're used to drinking, Budweiser, Coors, whatever, and all of a sudden they come up with Sierra Pale Ale, and they're like, "This beer is the worst beer ever." But
it's, I will say, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale to this day is I would put as one of my top 5 beers of all time. It's consistently still one of the great beers. Yes, and I would say right after Anchor, Sierra Nevada was probably the next where I went through their whole portfolio. Anything that Sierra Nevada put out, I was all over it, because again, all the different flavors and styles it was really exciting to try all of them.
Yeah, to try it. Yeah. All right, Kris, since I took your question, you can take the next 2 questions.
Okay, I can do that. Well, and then you kept mentioning Anchor as well. One of our listeners, Matt Griffo, he said, "R.I.P. Anchor." Yeah. Sad that it's gone. So Sean, what style did you dislike at first? but you have grown to enjoy?
Oh, wow. I dislike it first.
The
I
smoked
will
beer?
admit it took me a while to get into craft lagers.
Okay.
Because I think because I'd gone so far into, especially during my hophead days, um, coming back to a clean, crisp lager, I don't think I had enough of an educated palate to recognize
Mhm.
this is not the Bud Miller Coors you were
Mhm.
drinking. This is lager. This is what beer should taste like. Um, and I think even when I started having like some really good German lagers, Austrian lagers, was like, okay, these are fine, I get it, but I wasn't a huge fan.
Yeah.
I would say that's true of some sours as well. I had, but and sours for me I mean, sours is such a broad
Mhm.
term now for beers, but there are some that I'm not a huge fan. I'm still not a huge fan of like some of the farmhouse stuff that's like real horse blankety and
Yeah.
things like it's. I know some
All
people
wrapped.
absolutely love them, and more power to you. Um, I'm not a huge fan of Hefeweizens. I
Yeah.
like they're okay. I can identify one that's really good of the style, but it's probably not the style I'm ever going to choose to drink. Same with wit beers, sort of that section. Um, but there's I mean, I'll say I'm not a huge fan of a lot of hazies. I think some hazies
Mm.
are really really excellent. I think uh, there's a lot of silliness when it comes to and now it's these three hops, and these three hops, and triple dry hopped with these three hops, and
And they all taste the same.
it's all and then also and oh, and by the way, it's also $30 a 4 pack. It's just
Yeah.
I find that to be a bit silly. Um, but again, different strokes for different folks. Everyone, and if that is going to bring more people into our craft beer world, awesome. I think anytime anybody says, "Oh, I don't really like beer," I take that as a challenge. Like there are,
Same.
Yeah.
that's like saying I don't like desserts. I mean, there are so many different ways to approach that. That if okay, I start with, okay, well, what do you like? What do you like to drink? And I can start from there, and usually within a couple tries, land on something that's going to be in their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be a fun game to play. Find us somebody that said, I don't like beer.
Hmm.
Give us a weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, that could be a fun game.
Mhm.
And I mean, the thing is, I do it all the time. Like
Yeah.
when we, especially meeting people or, friends of friends, right, and like, oh, well, I'm not really a beer drinker. And and like, if you prefer cocktails or prefer wine, that's fine. Um, but if you like wine, I
Mhm.
guarantee you I could find a beer you like.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you like, if you like cocktails, I guarantee you I could find a beer you like. So it's just a matter of sort of narrowing down what those flavors are that you like.
Mhm.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it is a fun game, and I highly recommend doing it.
Yeah. 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 John said, like your dad.
Oh, yes, my father has joined the chat.
Welcome, Dad.
Hi,
Welcome,
Dad.
Dad.
he
Yes, so actually that is no, my dad's a big wine guy.
he said he's enjoying a
He's drinking
Chardonnay today.
Chardonnay.
Of
Yeah.
course he is. Of course he is. I could have told you that.
Mm.
Um, but well, one of the great things though is I grew up in a family that appreciates quality and flavor and taste and that
Mhm.
sort of thing, and so that has served me well in the beer world as well. Now I love wine too. Um, I've found that a lot of what I learned from drinking different wines, I can apply sort of in the beer world as well, and it also helps me if somebody is a wine drinker. I can sort of bring a lot of those same flavor characteristics, to a same area. And one of my favorite experiences with my father was a number of years ago. My son was in college at UNF, University of North Florida in Jacksonville. That is also the location, or Jacksonville is also the location where we had an annual barrel-aged sour and cider festival, beer fest. Happened to fall on a weekend where my parents came to visit their grandson, and I was going to be there. So we had a whole, so my parents got to come to their first ever beer festival.
Yes.
And so my father got to taste as a wine guy, getting, coming into barrel-aged beers and sours. I mean, what better place to, for a wine drinker to go. And he was able to, he went around and tasted different things. And, contrary to what he may tell you, he had a great time. He enjoyed himself very much. But it's, that is, and will probably forever be one of our good-natured jousting back and forth is, beer versus wine and vice versa.
Yeah. Well, do you have a favorite beer style, Sean?
Honestly, it depends on the day. But it's and like we were talking about earlier, like a good, good clean sort of Western Coast IPA, good, nice hoppy APA, like Reef Donkey, Sunshine City, Free Dive. But also, like if I've like an ESB or a English mild or something like that, I'm gonna jump all over that. Usually, if I go into a brewery and if they have an ESB or a brown on, that'll probably be the first one I get.
Same as me. Same thing.
Lagers are. I mean, I love a well-made, clean, crisp lager. I mean, there are a few things better than that, and so if they don't have an ESB, or I'll probably go for one of their lagers, because I think you can tell a lot about a brewery about how good their lager is.
Yep.
And then probably my third choice will be if they have a West Coast IPA or some sort of clean IPA. That's probably the order in which I would go down the list.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of I would say the same, except I would change mine where it's a toss up between brown ESB and because I also love those styles, are two of my favorites, so I always will grab that. But if the brewery has some kind of a rye beer, I will always jump that before the other two because I just love rye and beer. So
it felt like there was a while ago for a hot minute there everybody was doing rye beers.
They still are here. I love it. I just drank one last weekend that was really
good.
Nice.
Yeah, we don't see them very often here anymore. But I mean they're still around, but not as much as they used to be, for sure.
Yeah. I usually just go into a place and go, what would Denny drink? And that's what I ordered. And he hasn't steered me wrong yet.
Right.
Yeah, I like a lot of good beers.
Unless he starts getting into those like you mentioned the horse blanket saisons, farmhouses and stuff.
I do like good old bready saisons are good too. I like that.
And what a name for a characteristic too.
Right. I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, what do you mean horse blanket? Well, farmhouse. I'm like, that's not helping.
Everybody's tasted a horse blanket before, apparently.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
The musty, the kind of musty stuff. Yeah. All right. So next question, I'm going to put a caveat in here. Besides Anchor Brewing, is there a brewery, beer, or beer style that is no longer around that you wish would make a comeback?
Ooh.
So we already know your brewery. So pick either a beer that's disappeared over the years or a style that's disappeared that you'd love to have come back. I'll tell you mine that made a comeback. Mine is the black IPA.
So I was actually, that was when you said style, that was the first, because I will tell you, Sublimely Self-Righteous changed. I mean, that was another one of those sort of milestone beers. You're like, wait a minute, this beer shouldn't look and taste and smell like this, and it was so good. And then there were a number of really good black IPAs. So style-wise, I haven't seen a black IPA in quite some time.
Oh, really?
There's one on at Tampa Bay Brewing Company right now.
At West Chase or Ybor?
Ybor.
Yeah, is that the one you just had last week, Kris?
Yeah, I just had it, Friday?
Friday? Yeah.
Okay.
Dougie did good on that one.
Dougie always does good. Doug does
he did
great
good
work
on that
in
one.
there. I love that guy, and he makes really good beer. So style wise, that's probably what I would, because I can't think of another style that I haven't seen in a while.
Well, we could
Because
say
I've seen a couple
say brewed
ESBs.
IPA, but nobody wants to brew IPA.
Now that's, I mean, some styles I don't care if I see again.
Yeah.
Now there was and Denny, you might be old enough to remember there was a short-lived brewery called Rhino Chasers
I never heard of
back
Rhino
in the mid '90s, I believe, or maybe early '90s. And they had about four different beers out, and they were their concept was they made these, and I think they were based out of Southern California. And their concept was like it was $1 of every beer sold went towards rhino conservation.
Oh, really?
And it was, I think though that they just it was at that time where a lot of breweries were like people were getting into brewing because they thought they were going to make some quick money, and a lot of them just just flamed out and burned. So I think that they weren't able to get the kind of funding they needed. They made the beers were good.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one I wish. I'll bet if they'd managed to wait until maybe 10 years ago, they could have really succeeded. Any other breweries that have closed?
Well, interestingly enough, Rhino Chasers has turned into Lost Rhino Brewing Company.
That's right.
Oh.
And they're based out of Ashburn, Virginia.
Really? Interesting. Are they like, is their beer out and they're brewing?
Yeah. So they've got, I'm looking at check-ins on their Untapped page.
Wow. Are they doing the rhino conservation thing? Do you know?
I mean, it looks like it. I'm just trying to take a peek
cool.
through here.
That's very cool. It's that they picked up the idea and somebody ran with it.
Well, so had yeah, I mean, somebody checked into one of their beers 33 minutes ago.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. That's
very cool.
Right on the nose.
Brandy Greason just hopped on. She said that I'm not a lover of beer drinker. And Sean has tried that. Let me recommend a beer game. Well, she wants to know that maybe you or I, Denny, can recommend a beer for an avid whiskey lover.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
So Brandy went to school with me in Sonoma, so I've known her for a very, very long time.
Okay. It's tough because, I mean, even whiskey and bourbon barrel aged beers still have beer character, but there are some that have a lot more spirit character that maybe would give you some of that spirit. I actually prefer the ones that don't have that large spirit character because it takes away from the beer character. And that's one of the mistakes a lot of breweries made early on in the barrel game is I think they they left it in the barrel too long, or they just took on too much of that spirit character and took away from the beer. And those I didn't like, but now I think they've brewers have really stepped up their game, and they know either not to keep it in there too long, or they know how to blend much better so that you don't lose.
I think the blending has become the where they find the real art because then they they've got different barrels doing different things. A lot in the same way that in the sour programs where they're blending from different barrels to get the flavors that they want.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's tough to find I mean, if Sean's failed in all these years,
and she's
we're going to succeed.
I looked I did a little snooping. She's in Raleigh, North Carolina, as long as her Facebook profile is accurate.
Oh, nice. That's a nice area to be in.
Well, I mean, there's got to be something out of Asheville for sure, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
so I will once again, Brandy, take up that challenge because it's been a while since we've had that discussion. So I mean, probably something that is barrel aged but not a stout. So something, maybe if there's like an amber or something like that. I know that's not very common, but an amber or something like that that's been aged in a whiskey barrel So you're not gonna get the heavier stout characteristics, but some of the beer where maybe we do get a bit of the stronger spirit attributes to it.
Brandy, you have a brewery opening up near you, I believe this year, called Corporate Ladder. They're opening
Yes,
they're opening
Corporate
out
Ladder's
that way.
so good.
Those
Yeah.
guys can barrel age some nice cocktail type beers.
Yes, they do. So
Yep.
so for those who you don't know, Corporate Ladder is actually based in
Palmetto, Florida.
Yeah, so they're just south of St. Pete, right next to Bradenton, Palmetto. They're opening up another location up in up there. So that's right. I forgot about that. So yeah, they make some fantastic beers.
Yeah, we were going to talk to Blake again. We chatted with him a few years ago. I met him
bring Blake
through Zephyr Hills Brewing Company a few years back.
Oh, sure.
And I was supposed to get him back on the show for a second go around, but I'm pretty sure he's moved to North Carolina by now.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he did. And he's got to make that get the new place up and running. So, yeah.
You can make a trip to North Carolina when they open, and you can interview. We can interview.
You know what? There's not only that, but like there's a couple of Sit Mean Sit locations there that I can go visit too, and go see Rip the Bat Dog and all that good stuff.
So I think Sean was on the right track, and one of the breweries that does a lot of variants of besides stouts and stuff is. Again, Boulevard has their own issues, but Boulevard Brewing does a lot of barrel aged stuff that actually, that tastes a lot like the spirit instead of the beer base, and especially if you have they have the rye on rye,
mm-hmm.
And that one is I don't know, it's 20% alcohol, and it tastes like rye whiskey. it's got a lot of rye in there, and that might be something that you could enjoy that's actually a beer base. And I think it's not a stout, it's I can't remember, maybe it is a stout base, but you can't tell it's a stout. It's so much of the barrel character from the 3 different rye blending barrels they do with it, but it's pretty good. But it's pretty strong. It's hard to drink for a beer drinker.
Them or
easy
Avery.
for a whiskey drinker.
Avery could some of their big ones.
Oh yeah, Avery Rumpkin. Actually, that would be a really good one. Rumpkin Pumpkin Ale. It's pumpkin ale. That's a lighter base.
That and some worldwide stout from Dogfish Head.
No, that's not. Yeah, that one's too. But Avery Rumpkin would be great. Or I had this. I got an Avery beer right here. This is the Uncle Jacob's Stout. Again, it's a stout, but this one was really thinner stout and had some really good. I mean, this is pretty heavy in the spirits as well.
So a number of years ago, Avery had a couple of their big, they were these big sort of. One was called the Beast, and one was called, I think it was Avery. And they were these big, just monster beers. They were, high, real high gravity. Right. Oh, nice. Rumpkin.
I just happen to have this right here next to me.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
You're welcome.
And I don't know if Avery still makes those. I think there was 4 of them. I think the Reverend maybe was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the Beast and they were all, and I don't even remember what styles they were. They were just massive. And were not subtle at all. But they were good.
Yeah. Okay, so we have some suggestions. I think actually Avery Rumpkin pumpkin beer aged on rum barrels. Again, it's not whiskey, but it's rum, but it has a really good smooth flavor, and you get that heat from the barrel in there too. That might be a good option, something you might enjoy. And then if you can get the bullet, I think the rye on rye, that one is got a lot of spirit character in it. You might enjoy that if you like spirits.
Okay. Now, Brandy, you just have to go out.
Just get back.
That's right.
Find these. We'll wait. you can report back.
We'll be here.
Yeah, tapthecraft@gmail.com. Simple
There you
as easy enough. All right. So crap, where'd my notes go? Okay. Well, Sean, the last question I have for you, at least in this section, is if you're gonna rate your beers, do you rate them of overall enjoyment or against others within the same style?
I will preface this by saying I don't like to rate beers very much anymore, primarily because
Of your job.
so much of so much of for me the experience of drinking a beer borrows so much and is also heavily leans on what is happening around you at the time that you're drinking the beer.
Of course.
And so if I there have been times where I had a a bottle of Pabst Blue Ribbon and sitting around a pool with some friends, and at that moment I would have given that a 5-star rating, 10 out of 10, because it was so enjoyable in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, this was the perfect thing for this moment. And then there's other times where I'm, if I'm drinking a beer that I always love, I'll use Reef Donkey as a perfect example. I love Reef Donkey all the time. But if I'm drinking a Reef Donkey and I'm in a really bad mood,
that's fair.
I'm not enjoying it probably as much as I would if I'm hanging out with my friends and we're having a great time.
Yeah.
So that being said, I tend to shy away from rating beers because, unless I have to, and if I do have to, I try to do it as close to, for this style of beer, how does it hit the marks? And I'm not a, I'm not a BJCP judge, and I'm not a level,
No.
I'm not a master Cicerone, but I know enough. I know enough to be, to be dangerous, I guess. But I know what certain styles are supposed to taste like.
Yeah.
And I can identify off flavors, and I can identify where I think maybe a mark was missed here or there. So if I have to rate something, I'm going to try to rate it as objectively as possible. Really, the only time I would ever do that is if I was asked to be a judge, which I've done a couple times before and probably would never do it again, just because I don't find it enjoyable.
No, it's work.
And I also I don't like ever putting down somebody's beer. I know how hard everybody works to make theirs the best can be. Now, if you made a beer and you're asking me what I think of it and you want my honest opinion, I'm more than happy to tell you, and I will tell you honestly but kindly. That here's where I think it's great, and here's where I think it has some issues. I've done it a number of times with commercial breweries. If I get one of their beers and there's something not right about it, I don't post about it all over social media. I reach out to someone and say, hey, I had this beer, and either it was packaged or on draft or wherever. I think it's infected, or it's not being served properly, or I think the draft lines at this place might be dirty. Just so you know, the beer that you made isn't coming out the way that you want it to.
Yeah.
Because I know they want to know that. They want to know if their beer is not the way that they want it to be.
Yeah. I did that recently, a month ago, to a local brewery. I notified them personally. I said, "Hey, I just want to let you know I got a 6-pack of this beer. It's a lager I drink a lot of, and it's soured.
Yeah.
Something something's wrong when you packaged it, or you got infected, whatever. I just want you to know that, hey, something's wrong. You might need to check this lot out." I gave them the lot number, everything.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't one beer in there. It was the entire 6-pack. I drank 4 of them before I contacted them, saying, "Yeah, this is not a fluke. This is something wrong."
Yeah.
They wrote back to me saying, "Oh yeah, sometimes the canning line gets some oxidation." And okay, whatever, man. You're like, I tried to help, and then the PR person just decided to, that there's another person, doesn't know what they're talking about. But, and I told my wife, I said, okay, for the next 3 months, we're not buying this brewery's beer because I don't want to take a risk of getting more. I had
Sure.
two different beers, different styles, different beers that had problems, and I said, okay, something's wrong, and I can't. I don't want to go and spend my money, my good money,
Of
on
course.
stuff that
Yeah.
is coming out bad. And like I said, I gave him I gave him and I explained everything in a nice detailed email, and that's what I got. Oh, come by the brewery and we'll give you a free 6-pack.
Yeah.
I didn't want the beer. I never went to the brewery to get the 6-pack. I didn't want the beer. I wanted to let them know that, hey,
Right. Right.
something's
Absolutely.
wrong.
Best answer.
So,
Hey, thank you. We'll take a look at that.
yeah.
Right.
And the same brewery had a problem, a different problem that I did the same thing to like 5 years ago, and they said, yes, we recognize that we had this problem. We've removed the beer from the lines, from all the stores, everything, and they were really grateful that at least that we're paying attention. And I was thinking that was the same thing was going to happen this time, but it was different people that were intercepting my email, I guess. So, okay, well, that last question, Sean, it was just meant to like your own personal inside your brain thought process, right?
Sure.
When you go to the grocery store and you're like, you know what, I'm in a mood for a brown ale, and you go and think about the ones that you have available to you, and you say, how are you going to go and select that beer? You're going to select it on how much you enjoyed it, of course, because you're in brown
Right.
ale, but in generally, some people just think that that beer is great, and they it's a great beer. I'm just going to drink it. But for me, I like to do what you do, right? I like to gauge it off of the style. So when I go and look for a certain style, I know that, oh, I like that one a little bit more because it had these characters that I like. So I'll pick that one over another one if I have multiple choices.
Yeah. I mean, also to on top of that, we haven't even talked about, pairing beer with food.
Yeah.
If I'm making dinner and I'm making, if I'm making Thai food, I'm going to be picking a very different beer than if I'm doing, burgers or a steak. I'm going to pick probably a different, beer to partner with that.
Yeah. True. Very good. Okay, we're gonna give you a quick break.
Okay.
As far as having to answer our questions, but it'll be very quick because we've already, believe it or not, we've already been recording almost an hour. We don't want to keep you all night.
Oh,
but
wow.
Before we get to the next section, I just want to let everyone know, hey, we love getting feedback from all of our listeners. You can provide that feedback very easily through voicemail. Yes, we have a voicemail line. Call us. Let us know what you like, dislike about the show. Ask us questions. Tell us about your craft beer journey. Just give us questions you want to ask or want us to answer, like we Brandy did in the chat here. Call our voicemail number 208-536-3359. If that's too many numbers because you've been drinking pretty heavily tonight, like we have, then how about 208-53-ODDLY? Leave us a voicemail. Get your voice heard on the show. We love getting voicemails. Or if you're too shy, I know it's a cop-out, Kris, sorry, but hey, we got to provide many means to have our listeners contact us.
Stop holding their hands.
You can contact
Tear
us
the Band-Aid
through
off.
old school email. It's funny to say old school email because email is newer than snail mail. But email, you can email us at taptocraft@gmail.com. If you're more into social media, we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/taptocraft. Just leave us a question there. We'll answer it on the show or on Facebook. And we do have we also have a website, taptocraft.com, where you can find the episodes, find some videos, find some blog entries, whatever you want is there. And social media has become kind of, collapsing in certain areas. We have a Discord server. This is our own private Tap to Craft community where if you want to just interact with beer lovers with a similar mindset as you can just interact with us at taptocraft.com/Discord and join our community. Kris, let's go ahead and skip the Untapped to Craft for now. Maybe if we have time later, we can enter it in. But let's get right back to drilling Sean with some questions with our Brew Buzz segment. The Brew Buzz is devoted to discussing various beer-related topics. This week, we want to learn all about the Tampa Bay Brewers Alliance with Mr. Sean Nordquist. So earlier in the show, Kris kind of ran down that whole fluff piece on you.
Listen, I'm a good fluffer, okay?
And kind of explained a
This
little bit
podcast just
about.
took a very strange turn.
That's right. Let me get another beer.
But why don't you, in your own words, explain what Tampa Bay Brewers Alliance is and what you provide for the community?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Tampa Bay Brewers Alliance is a regional not-for-profit organization that is dedicated to promoting and helping to grow the craft beer community and by extension those businesses that are craft beer adjacent. So that includes our distillers, cider makers, meaderies, and also our restaurants, our retailers, and because there's so much crossover within the community in those areas. So what we are really focused on is how can we elevate this community through the means that we have available to us, through partnerships, through relationships, through interacting with and through the community without a literal act of Congress. So we don't engage in the politics side of things. We look at what are the needs immediately. What are the things that we have the resources, whether they be financial or through contacts or time to take on, and we go after them. So some of the initiatives that we've started on already, the University of South Florida St. Pete campus has a brewing arts program, which is a certificate program to bring new brewers into the industry.
That's so cool.
And so it's been going now for a number of years. And one of the things that the students are required to do when they finish the coursework part of the program is to have an internship at a brewery. And so, which is great, internships and hands-on training is important. One of the obstacles, though, is most people can't afford to do a non-paid internship because, especially this day, I mean, Florida and the Tampa Bay area in particular has gotten increasingly expensive to live in. So unpaid internships are really a non-starter for a number of people. The flip side of that is, as a small brewery, they can't afford to pay an intern a reasonable wage. And on top of that, if they do pay them, they also have to be covered under workman's comp. And if they don't pay them, they're not covered under workman's comp. So then now you're working and as we all know, working in a brewery, is hazardous. So one of the things that the very first initiatives that the Alliance has taken on is we are going to employ those interns coming out of the program, and they will technically be employees of the Alliance, but they will work at breweries as interns. And so we will pay them, we will pay their wages. They'll be covered under our workman's comp. And so now the burden is lifted from the breweries from having to worry about that. And the interns will be able to get the hands-on work experience that they need. Now there's very specific criteria over on both the brewery side and the intern side that we worked with the program director. They need to check off this, they need to be able to do these things. They're not just there to wash kegs and and scoop out grain. But they need to do a certain number of hours, and they need to be able to demonstrate skills in those areas. And so this cohort that just started in January will be the first set of interns under the Tampa Bay Brewers Alliance at the end of this semester. So we're very excited about that. So yeah, that's the number one is getting well-trained people to into our workforce, into our community. The next initiative is what we've been referring to as the Brewers Relief Fund. This grew out of an idea that we had back when COVID first hit and everything shut down. Breweries were, the brewers were still making beer, but the front of house staff pretty much everywhere was all of a sudden they had no income, and so a number of organizations in the community got together and did a couple t-shirt designs. So, and all the proceeds from the shirts went into a fund, and we went around and gave checks to front of house staff for a few $100s here and there. Obviously, we can't cover all their bills, but the people who were able to get that money said this really helped me get through my car payment or my groceries or whatever it might have been. So the idea is to take that and expand it into a much larger fund. So if something like that happens again, or if somebody in our community finds themselves in a tough spot through no fault of their own, that we'd be in a position to help them out. So we're not here to bail somebody out who got a DUI. We're not here to prop up a brewery that's possibly going to close. This is for for individuals who for our community that need help. And so that's in the works as well. We're looking at doing a collective buying program where we can leverage the buying power of multiple small breweries to get the kind of price breaks that a lot of the larger breweries get. So things like paper goods, things like chemicals, things like unbranded glassware, so all the stuff that everybody buys. But a small brewery like Corporate Ladder they're not going to get the same kind of price breaks that somebody like Yingling does. So being able to do something like that to save to save some of these breweries money seem to make sense. So that is in the works. We're looking at a partnership with Tampa Bay Beer Week. And I know I mentioned it earlier. That was the organization that I helped found 12 years ago. That is a very consumer-facing organization, whereas the Alliance is much more of a brewery and business side. It's sort of a natural partnership to both to support each other. So that we're in the works of doing that. And then finally, education. I'm huge on education. Not only do I come from an education background and an education family, but I think that there are always things for people to learn, to do better at their jobs, to make their to be better at what they do, to make their businesses run smoother, run better, more efficiently. I think people can always get better at what it is they're doing. So we're looking at things from technical things like we've got one coming up that we're planning for hose maintenance and safety. That it doesn't sound like that's not very well. It's critical. I mean, that's one of those things that you can save people from getting hurt. You can make sure that your equipment lasts longer, so you can save yourself money in the long run. You can protect your product from possibly especially dealing with hoses and things like that. Protect from infection. Same thing with keg maintenance and safety. Also, in front of the house, whether it's sales, whether it's operating a tap room, sales training for staff, even when it comes to branding and tap handle design. And I was actually talked with two different people now in two separate conversations where having a very straightforward class on how do I fill out my paperwork for TTB? How do I fill out my paperwork for ABT here in Florida? It's tax time. What do I need to make sure I don't miss? I'm registering my brands, for the state, and for what do I need to make sure I do? just step-by-step things where we can sit down for an hour or two
Mhm.
and, and then have it available to all of our partners to say, here's a wealth of information, because here's people that have been doing this for a long time.
Mhm.
They've already made all these mistakes, so hopefully you won't have to. So to be able to offer that kind of training and education to people in the industry, because we want, Florida and Tampa Bay in particular to continue to grow and really be to be a marker where people can say, oh yeah, look, they're doing something right over there. There's a reason that people want to come to Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay Beer Week, and people want to come visit breweries in Tampa Bay. So all of those things are sort of at the core of what the Alliance is about. And I always come back to, it's, for me, it's all about the community.
Mhm.
It's about making sure that everybody has the means and the information, they have the access, that everybody feels that they've got a seat at the table. Everybody feels welcome. And so those are, those are some real just key priorities for me as the director, and then also for our board.
Yeah. So you have some pretty nice initiatives, but these initiatives, some of these initiatives, they take some funding. Where does your funding, or can you talk about where your funding comes
Absolutely. I would love to talk about funding.
A nonprofit guy talking about funding. That's
right. So to start off, the Alliance was started by Joey Redner, who
Oh
is
yeah.
the founder of Cigar City Brewing. And he started, with seed money. Basically, he said, I have this idea for this organization, and I'm willing to fund it. I don't want to be the one that runs it. So,
Okay.
but I need you to make it self-sustaining. You need, I can't just give you money every year
Yeah.
to,
Oh
and
yeah.
so
I mean, you could.
they brought me in, because I have experience with nonprofits and fundraising, and also I know a little bit about the beer industry, and so the revenue generation obviously is one of my my top priorities, under my job description. And so it's going to come from a couple different sources. First one being our partnerships, and that's
Mhm.
brewery partnerships, that's affiliate partnerships. We are for this first year, we're running what we're calling the founding partnerships. So anybody who wants to be a founding partner will, it's a little bit more money up front, but there's some extra, perks and stuff that come with that. If anybody wants to reach out to me, you can, love to have that conversation with you.
Mhm.
And it can be anybody. It could even be, you might not even work in the brewing industry or even brewing adjacent, but you might just want to be, you love you love the industry. You're a
Mhm.
fan of craft beer and Tampa Bay regional beer. We have a law firm that's a founding partner. We have a CPA firm that's a founding partner. We have, then of course, we've got some maltsters, we've got some of the yeast providers, as well as some of the big breweries in the area. And that's really helping us with our initial sort of upfront cost for getting things going. We're also going to be doing some fundraising events. We're in the process of organizing a golf tournament that I know. This is Florida. We have a lot of golfers, and a lot of people love to come out and play golf. We're going to be doing some additional festivals and events like that. So that all these different ways to bring in revenue, there's nothing that's not on the table. I'm open. If somebody has a suggestion for something, like, hey, I'd like to do this thing, let's talk about it. I'd love to, I love creative ideas. When it says, oh, well, how about just have a festival? Like, hey, people are festivaled out unless it's
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
special and different and new. it seems like there's a beer festival every other weekend. Um, and it's if it's just another festival, I think even the general public tires of those after a while. So doing something new and different is always of interest to me as well.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I mean, yeah, Joey Redner. So, I mean, you kind of hinted at the fact that that this Tampa Bay Brewers Alliance is fairly new.
Mhm.
When did it become in operation?
So technically, it was 2021,
Okay.
and they formed a board and appointed a, a temporary executive director, and they they operated for the past 2 years, really just sort of keeping things steady. They partnered with Tampa Bay Beer Week to help bolster that. But the reality is that everybody who was on that board and also the executive director, they all had full-time jobs elsewhere.
Hmm.
And particularly coming out of COVID, everybody had like paying jobs that they had to, which, if it comes down to, well, I'm going to do my
Hmm.
job that pays my bills or this volunteer position that I have, well, you've got to pay your bills. So they got to a point where they realized that they needed to hire somebody full time. And it just so happened that I became a free agent right around the time that they were really looking. So, so it worked out for everybody.
Okay, good. So, again, I have questions about Joey Redner. So, was this
Sure.
before Joey? I mean, he started this before he got bought out, or
Oh no,
what
I mean,
exactly?
so trying to remember when Joey sold
I mean,
Cigar
I lose
City.
track of time because
Yeah,
when you get
that was
older,
quite
you
some
lose
yeah, that
track.
was quite some time ago,
Oh, was it?
That
because
was
he sold mostly to
2016.
right,
No, it
yeah, to
wasn't. Was
Fireman's
it?
Yes, it was.
yeah,
Oh my
Fireman's
gosh.
Capital. Um and then and then
Forever.
was it 2018 that was the Monster purchase, or that 2019?
I thought that happened just recently.
Or
I thought it happened
maybe that's
recently too,
2021 or 22.
because we interviewed Joey Redner. I thought he was still with Cigar City when we interviewed him,
He
Kris.
I
was
think
he so I'm trying to like dig into
And that was during COVID.
it
so.
was
That was pre-Monster then.
yeah, it
And
was
I
Yeah, it was pre-Monster for
pre-monster
sure. Yeah.
after the Canarchy
Right, because I
firemen's
believe
what was it?
he still served on their board or something, didn't he? With Canarchy?
I don't remember. It is
Maybe he
and
was
seriously, if
still.
it was 2016 when the initial purchase happened,
I
damn, that's
Yeah,
almost
I
10
was
years ago.
yeah, that's shocking because I didn't realize it was that long ago. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
and so I mean, so much of that, and my wife, teases me about the fact that like those COVID years just
Yeah.
throw everything throw
Yeah,
everything
they
from
ruin everything.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, time. Well, for me, time doesn't mean anything to me anymore. I mean, it goes fast, slow. I mean,
Yep.
I can't keep track of what year it was, and it seems like just yesterday, and that was 3 years ago. So
Well, we
Right.
talked to him June 19th of 2021, Denny.
Okay, that
2021.
sounds
Yeah.
about right then.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because then,
Okay.
yes, because Monster would have been, yeah, because I remember seeing one of the Cigar City guys that I've been friends with forever shortly after that, and I believe that was in either January or February. And I was teasing him about Monster. So
So here's an interesting. I just happened to like do a quick search where the article from Fox 13 came up and it said, Cigar City Brewing parent company purchased by Monster Beverage. This was an article in January of 2022, but the
Okay.
pictures that they're using, um, Sean, it's from their old tap room, like where they had
oh
like
geez.
the two separate sections, and
Yes.
I actually. I don't know if this was just like, hey, we snagged a couple of pictures off of
Some stock
Google and that's
photos.
what we
I'm sure
Yeah.
that's
used.
exactly what it was.
Um, I mean, that's what I do occasionally, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, oh, so that's neat.
Yeah, because it
So
doesn't look like that at all anymore.
no, no, not at all.
All right. I was trying to modify a question we had in here because you've already we already know you're an executive director, but can you kind of define your role of what your responsibilities are as a as that role? I mean, is your main goal to go out and raise funds? Is that what executive director does?
That is a big part of what the executive director does. Yes. Um, but it is also my role um, to really spearhead all of those initiatives that we talked about.
Mhm.
I have a board of directors, but they are really much more in an advisory
Yeah.
role. Um, so all those things that we talked about, I'm the point person pretty much on all of those.
Okay.
Um, so
You don't have a
yes,
staff of like 100 people doing all that stuff for you?
oh yeah, no, yeah, of course, I have minions and minions,
Millions of millions of
millions and
people.
millions of
Yes.
minions. Um, no, yeah, it's all me.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe someday I'll be in a position to be able to hire somebody, but we do call on outsourcing for things when needed, social media and stuff like that. Get somebody who is more proficient at that than I am.
Hmm.
We have a CPA firm that handles the uh, the financial accounting side of stuff.
Hmm.
Because that's, I mean, so there are things that I am able to hand off to, but as far as all the initiatives go and the fundraising, that's all me.
Okay.
Denny, I'm sitting here going, how can I put sit means sit dog training into the Brewers Alliance? Yeah.
Well, you can teach Cajun to go fetch beers and bring
Because
them
he's
to
good at
people.
it. He just
Yeah.
bites
So
holes in the cans. That's why any of the pictures I take of him, they're all empty
empty.
beers. Yeah,
Okay, Chris.
he's over here asleep in the
I'll
freaking
let you.
office.
I've monopolized all the questions. I'll let you ask me the last question before we get to our game that we're gonna play with them.
We're gonna play a little game. Okay. Yeah. So Sean, what are some of the leading challenges that Tampa or even just Florida breweries currently face?
I mean, I think first and foremost, well, I mean, the obvious one is the changing landscape of the industry, and I mean but that's not anything special to Florida. That's everywhere. That's everywhere in the country.
Mhm.
Um, One thing that we are, and I think everyone is experiencing this too, but Florida and Tampa Bay in particular, our real estate and insurance costs are
Oh,
absolutely insane.
yeah.
They're and not just on the business side, but even just homeowners,
Mm.
insurance
Ugh.
and you know property values. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's gone up so much, and because of that, a lot of the breweries who are coming up on their 5 or 10 year leases on their locations, they're seeing their leases go up hundreds of percents. I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
and the owner's going, you've got to be kidding me. Like, how this is, that's not realistic or feasible and I think that we've already seen a couple where that's been the case and they've had to close.
Mhm.
And it had nothing to do with the quality of their product. It had nothing to
Hmm.
do with the quality of their business. Um, in fact, in some cases, they were great business, great location,
Yeah.
great product, and their landlords come in and said, "Okay, your lease is up, and now you were paying X amount. Now it's going to be 400% more."
Mm.
And it's just there's no control on that at all. And then you add on top of that the cost of insurance, which which feels to me unregulated,
Hmm.
and has gone through the roof for property values, for property as well as business insurance.
Yeah.
I've got a friend who's an insurance agent, and he's like, I'm a broker. I don't even know what to tell people these
Hmm.
days because Florida in particular uh, is the the risk factors that have been calculated um, are really really high, and then of course with the property values also going up, well that means the insurance has to go up, so it's just this
Hmm.
it compounds itself. So I think that is probably one of the biggest challenges on top of a changing industry and environment, um, specific to here, not only all that, and then the cost of living just for, the people that live and work here.
Mm-hmm.
It's becoming increasingly difficult to find affordable housing.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge. So I think it's not necessarily the beer industry, specific stuff. It's the stuff that's affecting all businesses and
Yeah.
everyone who lives here.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Is it one of the things I've noticed around the nation from other breweries that have a similar problem with property, like landlords just all of a sudden the lease comes up after they had like 10-year lease or whatever, and then all of a sudden lease is up and they double, triple, or quadruple their amount of rent they get to pay, and they can't afford it, and they have no choice but to evacuate that
Right.
location. What they've been doing, and I don't know, is this something that might be possible in the Tampa area, is they're reaching out to other breweries that have more capacity than they can use their brew house for, and work into like an agreement where they can, on their off hours that the main brewery is not brewing, they can take over and brew beer and either transfer it to fermenters that they have on site, or transfer it even by truck literally to other locations where they can ferment it and can it or whatever. Is that an option that you see in the Tampa area that might help?
There is some of that going on already. There is some contract brewing for um, for brewers that need the excess capacity. The problem is that there's not a lot of excess capacity
Yeah.
because we just don't have as many large breweries.
Mm,
For as big as our industry has become over the past 10, 15 years, 80% probably of brewers in Florida make, less than, 1,500 barrels a year.
oh wow.
And there are a handful. I think there's only 13 or 14 in the state that do more than 20,000 barrels a year.
Mm,
Or
wow.
sorry, more than 10,000 barrels a year. So finding that excess capacity, uh, and then being able to do enough that it's worth their while, um, and it's worth it for you. It becomes a little bit of a challenge there,
Yeah.
but it is being done. Like I know people are, um, everybody's looking for ways to make a little extra more money.
Yeah.
So if it means, you know, letting somebody use some of your tanks for capacity, there are a couple breweries that some of their model is built on contract brewing. But it's the option is there, but it's not really a viable thing for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's
Yeah.
even one of your brewery partners. I mean, we spoke to Michael DeLancet over at
Yeah.
Mythic
Mhm.
a few
Yeah.
months back, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, whoever let me borrow some space," and we're
Yep.
like, "Man,"
Yeah.
And he's making some outstanding
He
beer,
boy,
incredible beer.
he always has. When he was with Hourglass, he was making great stuff.
Oh,
He and I did a collaboration a number of years ago for a strong ale called Snoot Boops.
yeah, we
And
talked about that
yeah,
too.
we talked
yeah,
about it. Actually, yeah, I think he
yeah,
mentioned you,
Wait,
right?
yes,
wasn't it you who told me to say, "Hey, ask him about
Oh,
Snoop
it
Boots"?
was.
Somebody
Yeah,
somebody
yeah,
said, "Hey, ask
yeah.
him about that," and I was
yeah,
like, "I have this note that somebody
yes.
Oh,
said."
So it was. I mean, it was a really fun club. It was just this sort of weird random thing, and I knew, like, when I thought about it, I was like, Mike's the guy to do this. And I actually still have a couple bottles left.
mm,
Um, and it was and the label's gorgeous and the beer is really great and really fun. So, yeah, and he's somebody that, I definitely, I'm gonna, next time I can get a chance to brew with him, I'm gonna do it because he's a good. I've known him for a long time, and we get along real well. So
yeah, yeah. No, I really enjoyed interviewing him, and I was blown away by the beer that he sent us. Just
Oh, sure.
incredible beer that I wasn't expecting to be as good as it was. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, it's a small, we'll see what he does. And then when I drank it, I was just like, oh my gosh, this needs to be in everyone's glass.
Well, even his pumpkin ale that he had out.
Yeah.
That, I mean, most people aren't a huge fan of pumpkin ales, but Denny, I can't speak for you, but like I don't really seek them out anymore.
I've never seeked out pumpkin ales.
Sought. I think the word is
sought out.
Yeah,
yes,
sought out.
That's
yeah.
Yes.
But Denny and I both drank it live on the show, and we're going, oh my God, this is really good.
Yeah. I mean, anything I've ever had that he made has been fantastic. So.
Yep. Yeah. Same. Same. Matt Griffo says, "Don't hate on pumpkin."
I've actually because my wife loves pumpkin beers, and we would go to the Great Pumpkin Beer Festival in Seattle. We'd drive out there and we'd go, and she just would be in love with all the pumpkin ales, and I'm just like drinking, yeah, it's okay. And I find the ones that I liked.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it was the ones that were the darker styles that just had enough of the spice just to give it a little extra richness, but not overly spiced. And she liked everything that was like super spiced up. And
the pumpkin pie.
yeah, she loves that. But yeah, I mean, I've never been a huge fan of pumpkin beers, but there are some good ones, and especially lately, because the hype has all come down, and now you only have a few beers out there, and those beers that are surviving are actually really good beers.
Yeah,
that's good. Okay, Sean, we are going to play a little game with you. Now, I expect you to get 100% on this game because
no pressure.
Yeah, really.
Because you are the sole employee of Tampa Bay Brewers Alliance, and I'm assuming you also make all the blog posts too, right?
I work with some people to do those.
Okay, well then it's okay if you don't get them right. This is just for fun. And I thought it was a little trivia that you guys had on your website that when I was perusing the site and trying to get to understand what you guys were a little bit more before we interviewed, I thought this would be great to go and ask you these trivia questions, and find out how much you know about,
oh boy,
Florida.
He just went shit.
All right, so here's the first quiz. It's only 4 questions.
Okay.
And you should know it. You've been here from the beginning.
He should at least know the first one. I'll give him that.
All right. So, what is the oldest microbrewery in Florida?
Dunedin Brewery.
Yes.
Dunedin Brewery has been fermenting and serving craft beer since 1996. Yes. 2 years after you arrived, right?
Yep.
In addition to standard beers such as the Apricot Peach Lager, they brew an extensive seasonal specialty selection. So there you go, Dunedin. And
right.
Kris, you've talked about Dunedin before.
We have, and definitely if anybody can ever get to Dunedin, I mean, there's plenty of breweries other than Dunedin that are just all within walking distance.
Yeah, there's like 7 within walking distance.
Woodwright is another one that I'd love to get them on the show too.
Oh, and I will tell you what, they are one of my favorites. If you like traditional style beers, like European traditional style, they are phenomenal. They're absolutely phenomenal.
Well, each time we sit down and chat with another brewery, one of the most recent ones that we spoke to was Marker 48 up in Weeki Wachee. They're like, you guys need to get Woodwright on, and we're going, I know, I've been there.
Oh yes,
I've been there twice, and every time I go, I'm going, God, everything they have is so delicious.
Yes.
All right. Well, Sean, do you know what the first brewery was in Tampa?
First one in Tampa? It was the Florida Brewing Company, wasn't it?
Damn, 2 for 2. I need some like game show music. Yeah, brewing has a long history in Tampa. Cigar maker Vicente Ebor made Tampa the site of Florida's first commercial beer brewery, the Florida Brewing Company, founded in 1897 at the site of an ancient spring. I'm kind of curious to know where that was.
Yeah.
That is over by I believe the spring is over not too far from Eulalie Springs and Hidden Springs, over in that section of.
Oh, okay. Well, that would make a little more sense then too. Yeah, now that you mention it, that's really the only place in town that I can think of that has springs there, and South Tampa's got a couple. Um,
So I should get extra points for that.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
2.5 points now that you've got.
Okay.
you're doing good. You're doing good. How about what is the oldest beer in Florida? This might be tricky. The oldest beer.
Oldest beer in Florida.
This one, we might get you on this one.
So are we talking about from like consistently, it's
I don't know. I'm not from Florida.
so I mean my first thought would be La Tropicale.
There you go.
Damn, look at that.
You are the expert. La Tropicale's roots in Florida date back to 1896 when the Florida Brewery was founded in Ybor City, the first in the state to be granted a brewing license. La Tropicale started to be produced and sold in 1897. Wow, you're nailing them.
So
No, okay.
now there is a La Tropicale brewery down in Miami.
Okay.
It is actually owned by Heineken, and it is an absolutely gorgeous brewery, restaurant, beer hall, and it's stunning. And their beer is very, very good too.
Oh, nice. Okay, Kris.
This one's gonna be tough though. Like this
might
one's
be
not
tough for you.
Florida
This
related.
is not Florida, so.
Okay.
All right. What state, or should that be which state? What state has the most breweries per capita?
Per capita.
Per capita. That's the key. Per capita.
Ooh.
We might get you on this one, huh?
Yeah, because that gets tricky.
Okay, so we'll go. It's east of the Mississippi.
Like I want to say Maine.
No.
You're so
Uh,
close.
Close. You're close.
Vermont.
Yes.
Yeah. I knew it had to be up there because they've got a ton up there and not very many people. So
Yeah, despite California being the leading craft beer producer,
Right.
Vermont is the state with the most breweries per capita. In 2022, there were over 15 breweries for every 100,000 residents in Vermont. In contrast, California only had 3.3 breweries per 100,000 inhabitants.
Yeah,
Wow.
but California has over 1,000 breweries. So
Yeah.
Do they really?
and yeah,
Wow.
and I mean, but
Stupid
like
California.
Florida, we're the third most populous state in the country, but I think we rank something like 45th for per capita.
Wow.
I'd have to look. I mean, at least last time I looked at the numbers, I think that was. But we're way behind everybody else as far as and I think per capita is kind of an odd way to
Yeah.
judge things, but yeah, but I knew it had to be one of those
Little
northeastern
tiny ones,
states
yeah.
up there. Yeah,
You did good. You did good, Sean. You know your stuff. So,
that's right.
Well, he got 100% if you look at it,
100%.
because he got that extra half
105.
point.
That's right.
He got that extra half point, and then we had to give him a little help on the last one, and he got it. So I mean,
and then
it all balanced out.
I also filled in the additional information on La Tropicale. So
Yeah, that's
See?
true.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah, 110%.
yep, absolutely.
Okay. Before we close out the show, I need to make a potty break.
Okay,
So you guys can either keep talking or we can all take a potty break.
that's not a bad
and then
idea.
we can finish out the show.
I'm gonna do the same thing.
Okay. So we'll be back in just a few minutes.
2 shakes, 3 shakes. You're playing with it.
Yep.
Now I'm sitting here with the Family Feud theme song stuck in my head. I was like, man, it would have been great if we would have been able to put some
Yeah, but
game
then
show
they're
music.
gonna want to charge you royalty or charge you whatever you call it. So
John said your dad said he wanted your Zoom. Whose Zoom background do you want, John? Mine, Sean's, or Denny's? Yeah, they charge us royalties, and then they'd probably like mute part of
right, exactly.
it. One of our listeners, Matt, said if any volunteer work is needed in Tampa, he's down.
Oh,
Sweet. Tell
nice.
him to reach out to me.
He wants your background, Sean. John, that's a default one in Zoom.
It is. It's a default Zoom one.
Yeah, that's free. Everybody gets that one.
Yep.
Well, then that'll be a good thing to cover before we close out the show is how to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
No, of course. That's what we're getting at right now. Actually, in a minute. So, Kris, we'll skip our new and noteworthy.
Yeah.
We'll do them next week because we've kept Sean a long time, and it's been a great conversation. I don't want to overstate our welcome to him by making mistakes.
Well, I mean, you know how us beer folks are. We can sit and talk beer for hours.
We can talk beer. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one thing about the three of us is that we can carry on a conversation no matter what. So
That's right.
That's always good.
Absolutely.
That's always good. But before we close out the show, we always want to give a chance to raise a glass to anyone or person or industry or whatever you want to raise a glass to. So, Sean, would you like to raise a glass to anyone or anything special tonight?
So I'm going to do a twofer. So first off,
Okay.
Raise a glass to my son who turned 24 yesterday.
Oh,
Happy
cheers to
birthday.
that. Yes, happy birthday.
And then also to all of the people involved in the beer community in the Tampa Bay area who have who've taken this journey and been along this journey with me and supported me and continue to support me over the years. I couldn't do it without everyone else. So cheers.
Cheers to them.
that.
That's a goofy group of people that you interact with on
Yes,
a
they
regular
are.
basis.
I love them all.
I love them, man. That's probably my favorite part about it. Denny, who would you like to raise a glass to this evening?
Whoa,
Yeah, I'm mixing it up a
Kris.
little bit
Oh,
here.
my-
By the way, Sean, your mom
Well.
said you did great. You did good.
My mom thinks I'm awesome.
Yep.
And she loves you. She
Hey,
loves you.
She
That's
said
good.
you did good, Sean. Love your mom.
All right.
it.
Well, I'm going to raise my glass to our Patreon toast tonight. Goes out to my good buddy Alex Fuchs in Israel. Cheers to you, buddy. Stay safe out there. And then my second toast. I hate to bring the show down a little bit because, but I want to just raise a glass to a friend that I lost since our last episode. To my buddy Dax. Thanks for all of the great memories that you provided, and maybe see each other again one day in the afterlife. So cheers to you. And Kris, before I give my I'll give my second one too. I'll have my third one. Of course, being a former serviceman, I always want to raise my glass. I want to thank all those who have served and are currently serving in the U.S. military services, protecting our freedoms. Thank you to all those who are deployed, and I hope you're able to return home safely to your families very soon. And now, Kris, who would you like to raise a glass to?
So I would love to raise my glass to Sean. Thank you so much for hopping on with us today.
Oh,
we definitely appreciate the time and enjoying some beer with us.
My pleasure.
All right.
Okay. How about our sponsor? Would you like to raise a glass to our sponsor, Kris?
I would love to raise a glass to our sponsor, the folks over at Tin Tackers. They're the provider of sweet metal beer signs that will make your walls happy. Tin Tackers has a vast selection of embossed aluminum beer signs, perfect for your garage, home bar, or man cave. They have the biggest selection with the best prices. They also have a mini tacker of the month club, a club just for craft beer lovers who collect tin tackers. A surprise in your mailbox every month. Go visit their website at tintackers.com and use the promo code TAPTHECRAFT at checkout to save 10% on your entire order and to let them know we sent you.
All right. So, Sean, you have provided some great information. And if any of our listeners out there want to contact you to find out how they can join the Tampa Bay Brewers Alliance or volunteer their services to your alliance, how could they do that?
So you can find me. I'm very easy to find on Facebook. Just look up my name, Sean Nordquist. Um, also,
Wait, there's
you
only
can
one Sean Nordquist in
The
all of
one
Facebook?
and only.
you look at the picture. It is this. So you you can't miss me. On Instagram, you will find me at Beer for the Daddy.
Beer for the daddy.
And then for the Alliance, you can we have a Facebook page. We also have an Instagram account that is no, I can never remember this one. It is, I believe it's drink. Hold on, I'll pull it up here. I can make sure I get it right. It is drink_TB beer. And so that's our Instagram account. If you want to reach out to me about partnership or about volunteer stuff, you can email me directly at director@tbbeer.com. And I'd love to hear from volunteers. If you have interest in partnerships, you have ideas for that sort of thing, please reach out. And also send dog pics. I will never not want to see your dogs or cats. So
Well, Samuel Matson says, "What's your MySpace?"
oh my God.
Do you have anything you want to say?
So and
just snips,
Sam
yeah.
Sam is an old IT coworker of mine who actually was one of the original Ale and the Witch customers from when they very first opened. So and those who don't know, Ale and the Witch is a fantastic craft beer bar in downtown St. Pete, and has been for over a decade now, and they're awesome. So
Excellent. All right. Well, you can find the beers and the links that Sean just mentioned on our show notes found on our website at taptocraft.com. I will put those links in there for you, Sean, so people can find them right from the description of the podcast and on the website. And it is last call. It is time to bring the show to a close. We want to thank you for downloading and listening to the show. We ask you to please tell a friend and, of course, subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And as a reminder, we release a new show every 2 weeks. Now go out there and spread the good word of craft beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. So